So we go to December 2021. It was question number 2, part B. December 2021, question number 2, part B. So that question for December 2021, question number 2, part B, reads that Kubwa Limited is considering acquiring Dogo Limited. Kubwa Limited is considering acquiring Dogo Limited. So the selected financial data for the two companies is as follows. The selected financial data for the two companies is as follows. So you have been given Kubwa Limited and Dogo Limited annual sales, which are in shillings and in millions. Net income is given, number of the ordinary shares also in millions. Earning per share, market price per share. So both companies are in the 30% tax brackets. So required, Roma letter 1, Kubwa Limited was the acquisition earning per share, assuming the two companies settle on an offer price of 20 on a share for share exchange. Roma letter 2, Kubwa Limited post acquisition earning per share, assuming Dogo Limited shareholders accept 10% debentures. The bar value is 1,000 each for every 50 ordinary shares held. And finally, Roma letter 3, the level of the combined operating profit that Kubwa Limited will be indifferent between financing option 1, financing options in B, Roma letter 1, and also B, Roma letter 2. So that's now the question that we should be able now to check what should be done on that level. So we start off with the Roman letter 1. So Roman letter 1, the question has already given you the offer price. The question has already given you the offer price. So we need to compute the exchange ratio. So exchange ratio is supposed to be given by offer price by the predator. The offer price by the predator, the offer price by the predator. Then we divide by market price per share of the predator. Market price per share of the predator. We divide by the market price per share of the predator. So far, the offer price was given. The offer price had been given as 20 shillings. The offer price has been given as 20 shillings. We divide by market price per share for Kubwa. Market price per share for Kubwa has been given as 30. Has been given as 30. So we come up with the exchange ratio on the basis of that. So we get which figure? 0.66. So 0.66 is the same as 2 what? The same as 2 over 3. 1. So we need it in form of the ratio. So confirm. Because we multiply each side by 3. So finally it will be 2 is to 3. Be able to give you 2 is to 3. I suspect that's the case. Yeah. So that should be able to give you 2 is to 3. You multiply each side by 3. You multiply this one by 3. Also, this is what the 3 is main 2 is to 3. So we add there a paragraph that this implies that Kubwa will issue 2 shares. Kubwa will issue 2 shares in order to acquire 3 shares of the target. Kubwa will issue 2 shares in order to acquire 3 shares of the target. So from there, we can now get the new shares to be issued. New shares to be issued. New shares to be issued. So for the new shares to be issued, 2 shares are equivalent to 3 shares. So the target has got how many ordinary shares? The target has got how many ordinary shares? The number of the ordinary shares for Ndogo are how many? They are given as 2.5 million. 2.5 million shares. So how many shares should it be at that level when we cross multiply? So how many shares should be issued? This 1 million. So you can round it off in that manner. You can round it off in that manner. So we are on the Roman letter 1. You want to get the earning per share of the predator. Remember, it is share for share exchange. It is meant to be share for share exchange. It is meant to be share for share exchange. So it is supposed to be given by the combined earnings. Remember, it was combined earnings of the predator, and the target, of the predator and the target. Then we are supposed to divide by existing number of the shares, or number of the shares of the predator, number of the shares of the predator, number of the shares of the predator. Then we add the new shares to be issued. New shares. By the new shares to be issued. So we already have the combined earnings. We already have the combined earnings. So to get the combined earnings, the question had given you the net income. So Kubwa is 40 million. So Kubwa is 40 millions. So Ndogo, it was meant to be 5 millions. 5 millions. Then number of the shares of the predator, number of the ordinary shares, which are 10 millions. Then you add new shares to be issued, which you have seen is 1,666,667. So that now should be able to give you you get 3.86. Yeah, so that is now our Roman letter 1. That is meant to be the Roman letter 1. So now we go to the Roman letter 2. Roman letter 2, they have decided Kubwa limited post-acquisition earning per share, assuming Dogo limited shareholders accept 10% debentures. The bar value is 1,000 each for every 50 ordinary shares held. So this time around, it is use of the debentures. The one that we have done was share for share exchange. But now Roman letter 2 is meant to be the use of the debentures. Roman letter 2 is about use of the debentures. So when we are using debentures, what will be the effect from there? So when it comes to use of the debentures, when it comes to the use of debentures, when it comes to the use of debentures to compute earning per share of the predator, earning per share of the predator, you simply take the combined earnings. It is normally the combined earnings, we minus debenture interest, then we add interest tax benefit, add interest tax benefit, add the interest tax benefit. Then we divide by number of the ordinary shares. Number of ordinary shares of the predator. Number of the ordinary shares of the predator. So we start by getting the number of the debentures to be issued. We start by looking for the number of the debentures to be issued. We start by calculating number of the debentures to be issued. So to compute number of the debentures, to get number of the debentures to be issued. So they had given you details that Dogo Limited shareholders accept 10% debenture for every 50 ordinary shares. So one debenture is equivalent to 50 ordinary shares. 50 ordinary shares. One debenture will be equivalent to 50 ordinary shares. But we know the target had 2.5 million ordinary shares. So how many debentures will be issued? How many debentures will be issued? So how many debentures will be issued? So we cross multiply so that we get those number of debentures. We cross multiply so that we get the number of the debentures. So the number of the debentures are 50,000. So after that, we now compute interest. After that, we now compute interest. We now calculate interest. After that, we should now get the interest. So to compute interest, there are 50,000 debentures. They are 50,000 debentures. So the question had given you the bar value per debenture. How much is the bar value for each debenture in Roman letter 2? So multiplied by 1,000. Interest rate has been given as what percent? So we get 10% of that. We get 10% of that so that we come up with what should be the interest. So that we come up with what is meant to be the interest. Sorry? Interest will be 5 minutes. Sorry? Yeah, so now from there, we can now compute that was acquisition earning per share. So now to get earning per share would be, so combined earnings. The combined earnings, you simply add those net income. There is 40 millions. There is 40 millions. Then we add the 5 millions like that. So you are supposed to less the debenture interest. Debenture interest, you are saying is 5 millions. Then you are supposed to add the interest tax benefit. To get the interest tax benefit, you take the 5 millions multiplied by the corporate tax. Corporate tax was given as 30%, multiplied by 0.3. Then after that, you need to divide by the number of the ordinary shares of the prefecture. Number of the ordinary shares of Kubwa, they were meant to be 10 millions. Like that. So that's now our Roman letter 2. That will be our Roman letter 2. That is now meant to be our Roman letter 2 when they use debentures. That is now our Roman letter 2 when they use debentures. Our Roman letter 2 when they use the debentures. So it should be able to give you around which year? 4.15. So that should be our Roman letter 2. Now we go to the Roman letter 3. So Roman letter 3, the question was asking that the level of the combined operating profit that Kubwa Limited will be indifferent between financing option B, Roman letter 1 and Roman letter 2. So they are simply asking you to calculate earnings before interest and tax at the point of indifference. They are simply asking you to calculate the earnings before interest and tax at the point of indifference. So at the point of indifference, so normally at the point of indifference. So normally at the point of indifference, earning per share for the two options will be the same. Also, earnings before interest and tax for the two options being the same. So we just said that at the point of indifference, earnings before interest and tax of option 1 should be the same as earnings before interest and tax for option 2. Also, at the point of indifference, earning per share of option 1 should be the same as earning per share for option 2. That's now at the point of indifference. Then we have already the information about the two. So Roman letter 1 was share for share exchange. So option 1, it was share for share exchange. When it is share for share exchange, it means it is all equity financed. All equity financed. If it is share for share exchange, it means it is all equity financed. So if it is all equity financed, earning per share for that option 1 would be equal to earnings before interest and tax. 1 minus the tax rate. We divide by the number of the ordinary shares. Number of the ordinary shares, like that. So this will still be equal to earnings before interest and tax. We don't know it. It is what we are looking for. So corporate tax was 30%, which is the same as 0.3. So I want you to check under option 1. Go to Roman letter 1. We have already done Roman letter 1. You can see our Roman letter 1. How many total shares are there in the denominator? The number of the new shares plus the shares of the predator. When you add them, there are how many shares? The denominator. We have already done Roman letter 1 of the question. So there were 11 millions. Yeah, we have already done that part of the question. We have already done that part of the question. You simply check the denominator of the Roman letter 1. There were how many ordinary shares? So this will be the same as 0.7 earnings before interest and tax. You divide by 11,666,6. So that is now option 1. We leave it like that, so that we also create the equation for option 2. We also create the option 2. When it comes to option 2, it was use of the debenture. So when they are using the debenture, that means that option is both equity and debt financed. Option 2, it is equity and debt financed. Equity and debt financed firm. Equity and debt financed firm. So under option 2, it is going to be equity and debt financed. So if it is equity and debt financed, earning per share of that option 2, earning per share of that option 2 will be equal to earnings before interest and tax. We subtract interest. Then 1 minus the tax rate. We divide by the number of the ordinary shares. We divide by the number of the ordinary shares. So when we simplify it further, it will simply be earnings before interest and tax. So check under option 2, Roman letter 2 of the question. How much did we calculate as interest in the Roman letter 2? So it was 5 millions. It was 5 millions. Then 1 minus 0.3. Also check that option 2, Roman letter 2. How many number of ordinary shares were there as the denominator? There were 10 million ordinary shares. Yeah, so when you simplify, it will be the same as 0.7 earnings before interest and tax. So 5 millions multiplied by 0.7. 5 millions, 7. We get 3.5 millions. We get 3.5 millions. We divide by 10 million ordinary shares. Divide by the 10 million ordinary shares. So we have said that at the point of indifference, earning per share for option 1 will be the same as the earning per share for option 2. So we have already stated that at the point of indifference, earning per share for option 1 will be the same as the earning per share for option 2. So at the point of indifference, earning per share for option 1 is the same as earning per share for option 2. So option 1, we have already created that formula. It is 0.7 earnings before interest and tax. You divide by 11,666,667. Should be equal to earning per share for option 2. It is 0.7 earnings before interest and the tax. You minus 3.5 millions. You also divide by 10 millions. You also divide by 10 millions. So when you compute, you now, when you cross multiply, so cross multiply and make earnings before interest and tax to be the subject. So that should be able to give you our earnings before interest and tax at the point of indifference. So it is coming to which figure? When you cross multiply and make earnings before interest and tax to be the subject. Sorry? 2.1. Sorry? 31 points. 34.99. Online, you are getting which figure? So someone has given me a figure of it is 34,999. 9 what? 99. Like that. So we need to confirm whether it is true. If it is true, or if it is correct, the earning per share for the two options will be the same. So let us confirm whether the earning per share for the two options will be the same. So earning per share for option 1, you simply take 0.7 multiplied by earnings before interest and tax, which is 34,999,994, divided by 11,66667. That will give you earning per share for option 1. We also come up with earning per share for option 2. So for option 2, it is 0.7. Also multiplied by 34,999,994. Like that. Then you minus 3.5 million. You also divide by 10 million. So confirm whether the two are giving you the same earning per share. If they give you the same earning per share, then that figure of 34,999 million is correct. So that is the earning per share at the point of indifference. The two of them should give you the same. So confirm, because they normally ask you to calculate earnings before interest and tax, and also the earning per share at the point of indifference. In the exam, sometimes they ask you to calculate the earnings before interest and tax, and the earning per share at the point of indifference. So this one should be the earning per share at the point of indifference, and the other one should be earnings before interest and tax at the point of indifference. So are they correct? So they are giving you a figure of 2.09. So 2.009 is the same as 2.1. Yeah. We can round it off to 2.1. So that is now at the point of indifference. When they at the point of indifference, the earnings before interest and tax and the earning per share for the two options are meant to be the same. So now, apart from that question, we can also now check the one for April 2022. April 2022, question number 5. Question number 5, part A. We can also check the one for April 2022, question number 5, part A. April 2022, question number 5, part A. So that question number 5, part A for April 2022. So they were able to give that Song Limited has decided to acquire Tweaker Limited. Then that part is to not be there. The financial data for the two companies are given as follows. So net sales were given for Song Limited and also Tweaker Limited. They also gave you profit after tax. Profit after tax is the same as the net income. You are also given number of the issued shares. Then earning per share, dividend per share, total market capitalization. total market capitalization. They're now required Roman letter 1. The pre-acquisition market price per share of the combined firm. Roman letter 2. Post-acquisition earning per share if Twicker Limited shareholders are offered a share of shillings 30 on a share for share exchange. Roman letter 3. If the price earning ratio of Solid drops to 12 times after acquisition, determine that post-acquisition market price per share. So we start off with the Roman letter 1. How to get the pre-acquisition market price of the combined company. We shall first get the market price for each company, then we get the weighted average, now to give you the combined. So, total market capitalization is the total market value of equity. Total market capitalization is the total market value for equity. Then, the question had given you number of the issued shares. So to get the market price per share, simply take that total market capitalization of equity divided by the number of the shares. That will give you market price per share for each. Then you combine them together using the total market capitalization. So to compute the market price per share, when you want to calculate the market price per share, when you want to compute the market price per share. So market price per share, to get the market price per share, simply get the total market capitalization, the total market capitalization, total market capitalization. Then divide by number of the ordinary shares. Number of the ordinary shares. Remember, total market capitalization is the same as the market value of equity. This one is the same as market value of equity. That is the same as market value of equity. Total market capitalization is the same as the market value for equity. So we shall first compute for each, then we combine them together. So we start with the one for Songo Limited. So this one, total market capitalization, it is 240 millions. Okay, so 420 millions, like that. Divide by the number of issued shares. They are 7.5 millions. They are meant to be 7.5 millions. So that will be for Songa Limited. Apart from Songa, there is also the one for Twicker Limited. There is also the one for Twicker Limited. There is also the one for Twicker Limited. When it comes to Twicker, you also take 45 millions. We divide by how many ordinary shares were there? 1.5 million ordinary shares. So Songo, it is how much per share? Exactly 56. And this one is that. But you want to get the combined. You want to get the combined market price per share. So to get the combined market price per share, we combine them together using the total market capitalization. We combine them together, it will be the weighted average. It will be the weighted average. Like now for Songo, it is 420 millions. 420 millions divided by the total. When you add 420 plus 45, that will give us 400 and what? When you add the 420 plus 45, it will be 465. So that proportion multiplied by 56, like that. Then we add the one for Tika. The one for Tika, you also take the 45 millions divided by the total 465 millions, then multiply that. So that's now the combined market price before the acquisition. They wanted you to get the pre-acquisition combined market price per share. The pre-acquisition combined market price per share. So that is now our Roman letter 1 for the combined farm. So calculate price for each, then combine them together using that total market value of equity. Using the total market value for equity. So we now, so it is giving us which price? 53.48. We now go to the Roman letter 2. We now go to the Roman letter 2. When it comes to the Roman letter 2, they were asking that post-acquisition earning per share, if Twika Limited shareholders are offered a share of 30 shillings for share and share exchange, for share exchange. So when we share for share exchange, when it is share for share exchange, when it is share for share exchange, remember when it is share for share exchange. So share for share exchange, when it comes to the share for share exchange, share for share exchange, when it comes to share for share exchange, remember we had stated that earning per share of the predator, earning per share of the predator, it is supposed to be given by the share for share exchange, the combined earnings, of the predator and the target, the combined earnings of the predator and the target, the combined earnings of the predator and the target. Then we divide by number of the ordinary shares of the predator, number of the ordinary shares of the predator. Then we are supposed to add new shares to be issued. When we share for share exchange, we add new shares to be issued. Add the new shares to be issued. So we need to calculate the exchange ratio to get the number of the new shares to be issued. So to compute the exchange ratio, to calculate the exchange ratio, it is supposed to be given by market price per share divided by, so get the offer price, we get the offer price by the predator, offer price by the predator. Then we divide by market price per share of the predator, the market price per share of the predator. So to get the exchange ratio, it is the offer price by the predator divided by market price per share of the predator. So offer price by the predator. They have offered you a price of how much? The Roman letter 2. You can see Roman letter 2. they offered you 30 shillings. So we divide by, we calculated market price per share of Songo Limited, that is the predator. We got which price? We got 56. So from there, we should now be able to get the exchange ratio. So then, 15 over 28. That is 15 is to 28. Are we getting those details? Yeah, so that means the exchange ratio is 15 is to 28. So if that is now the exchange ratio, you want to see the number of the new shares to be issued. The number of the new shares to be issued. So new shares to be issued. New shares to be issued. So 15 shares so that you get 28 shares. Like that. But we know the target. The target has got how many shares? 1.5 million shares. The target has got 1.5 million shares. So when you do that, what should be the number of the shares to be issued? So then, 8, 0. 8 0 0.8. There are 800 and not 800 and 571. So that is what we are getting. Yeah, so now after that, we compute that post-acquisition earning per share. So combined earnings, you add the profit after tax. The combined earnings is the profit after tax. You can see 28.1. So you take 28.13 millions. So write them in full so that it becomes easier for you to calculate. Then the one for Twitter, it is 3,715,000. Then we divide by number of the shares of the predator. They were given number of issued shares for Songo, it is 7.5 millions. Then we add those for Twitter Limited. So the one that we issued to acquire Twitter. You say it is 803, 571. Yeah, so when you compute that, we should now be able to get the earning per share after the acquisition when it is the share for share exchange. So the question I wanted you to get, the one, so this one that you have calculated is, for, but we require to get the one for Twitter Limited. So Twitter is the target. So this is for the predator. This is for the predator. So I've given you information in the last class that anything for the target, you take the exchange ratio multiplied by the one of the predator. The one that you have calculated is for the predator. It is giving you which figure? 3.839. So this one is for the predator. Yeah, but they wanted to get the one for Twitter. Twitter is the target. Twitter is the target. So to get the one for the target, after you have calculated the one for the predator, we need to calculate the one for the target. Once you compute for the predator, you calculate the one for the target. So anything for the target, you take the exchange ratio multiplied by the predator, anything for the target. So when you want to compute earning per share of the target, earning per share of the target, you simply take the exchange ratio. Simply take the exchange ratio, you multiply by the one for the predator. Earning per share of the predator. So when you want to get the exchange ratio, when you want to compute the exchange ratio, so when you want to compute the one for the target, anything for the target, you simply take exchange ratio, not by the one for the predator. Our exchange ratio is 15 is to 28. That's the same as 15 divided by 28. Multiplied by this item for the predator, which was 3.839. It was 3.839. So any moment you want to get anything for the target, you simply take the exchange ratio multiplied by the one for the predator. When you want to get the exchange ratio, the one for the target, you simply take the exchange ratio multiplied by the one for the predator. So that now will be our Roman letter 2. The earning per share if trigger for the trigger limited. So that is now for the target. That's now for the target. I'm showing you just in case someone may ask you for the target. This one is for the predator. But if you want to get the one for the target, you take the one for the predator multiplied by the exchange ratio. So now we go to the Roman letter 3. If the price earning ratio of Songo Limited drops to 12 times after the acquisition, determine the post-acquisition market price per share. So the concept there is still the price earning ratio. The concept there is simply the price earning ratio. So we had discussed something concerning the price earning ratio. So price earning ratio, price earning ratio. It is supposed to be given by market price per share divided by the earnings per share. The concept there is the price earning ratio. So we make market price per share to be the subject. Market price per share will be given by the price earning ratio multiplied by the earning per share letters. So market price per share will be given by the price earning ratio multiplied by the earnings per share. So to compute the post-acquisition market price per share of the predator, market price per share of the Songo is the predator. You simply take that price earning ratio, which they have given you as it has dropped down, multiplied by earning per share of the predator, earning per share of the predator. So you have all those details. The price earning ratio, the question had given you 12 times. So you take the 12 times. So this one we calculated for the predator. It was 3.839. You just take that exchange ratio multiplied by what was there for the predator, multiplied by what was actually there for the predator. 46 point. So that is now the details for that question. So I would also want us to check you can also check the one for September 2021, question 5, part C. September 2021, question number 5, part C. You can also check the one for September 2021, question number 5, part C. 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 So that question 5C, it says that Duncan Kipchumba, the director of Water Limited, hiyo swali tumefanya iko na Roman letter 4. Yeah, I have not seen Roman letter 4. Someone is asking what of Roman letter 4. Iko nayo? Yeah, me, I don't see the Roman letter 4 of that question. So I don't have it. And no one else have it. Maybe I will confirm and see. Then see what should be there. Okay, so we can now continue with that one for the sitting off. We can now continue with the one for September 2021. So that question for September 2021, we are looking for the question number 5, part C. So they had talked about Duncan, the director of Water Limited, meets Lewis, the director of Tower Limited, during a conference in Sumu City. So they had some discussion about their two companies. After flying back to Nairobi, Duncan proposed to his board of directors the acquisition of Tower Limited. The acquisition of Tower Limited. So during his presentation, the board had stated that as a result of the takeover, there will be diversify our operations, and earning per share will rise by 13%, bringing greater benefits to our shareholders. Earning per share will be able to go up by 13%, bringing greater benefits to their shareholders. Then they continued to say that no bid has yet been made, and the Water Limited currently owns 2% of Tower Limited. So our bid will be based on the exchange of the shares between the two companies, which will be 1 Water Limited and every 6 Tower Limited. So they have taken into account that 2% when they decided the exchange ratio. When they decided the exchange ratio, they had already considered the 2%. So that 2% should not be used anywhere because it had already been taken into account. They have said that no bid has yet been made and the Water Limited currently owns 2% of total. So our bid will be based on the exchange ratio of the shares between the two companies, which will be one Water Limited share for every. So when they were making that decision of the exchange ratio, because this time around, they have already calculated for you the exchange ratio. To come up with that exchange ratio, they already considered that it owns the target, that's 2%. So financial data for the two companies include the following. They have given you Water Limited and Tower Limited. Turnover, then profit before tax. So profit attributable to the ordinary shareholders, that's the same as the profit after tax. The profit attributable to the ordinary shareholders, that will be the profit after the tax. It will be the profit after the tax. They have also given you issued ordinary share capital. They have given you the issued ordinary share capital, which are in millions. They have also given us market price per share, also the par value per share. So required, Roman letter 1, pre-merger price to earning ratio. That's the same as the price earning ratio of both companies, but pre-merger is before the merger. Roman letter 2, post-merger earning per share for the two companies. So we need to know, they had already given the exchange ratio because it is share for share exchange. Roman letter 2 also explain whether you agree with Duncan that when he says that the takeover will bring greater benefit to the ordinary shareholder. Support your answer with the relevant calculations. Then Roman letter 4, the post-acquisition price of the share for Water Limited, assuming that the bid is what? Successful. Let us first check the Roman letter 1, pre-merger price earning ratio. So price earning ratio from what you have seen, the price earning ratio, So when you want to calculate the price earning ratio, so price earning ratio is supposed to be given by the price earning ratio. It is simply market price per share divided by earning per share. The price earning ratio, it is simply market price per share divided by the earnings per share. So market price per share was given, but earning per share was not given. So we need to compute first the earning per share. So to calculate the earning per share, you simply take the earnings available, divided by number of the ordinary shares. You simply take earnings available, you divide by the number of the ordinary shares. So we calculate for each. Earnings available is what I said, earnings attributable to the ordinary shareholders. That is what should be your earnings. So we start with the one for Water Limited. So earnings attributable to Water Limited, profit attributable, it was 7.8 million. So how many number of ordinary shares? Issued ordinary shares in millions for Water. They gave you how many millions? 20. So divide by 20 million ordinary shares. That will give you earning per share for Water Limited. It will be able to give you the earning per share for Water Limited. 0.39. So that will be 0.39, We also calculate the one for TOA Limited. We also compute the one for TOA Limited. So for TOA Limited, when it comes to TOA Limited, they gave you the profit as how much? So it is 6.5 millions. So we also divide by the number of the ordinary shares. The number of the issued ordinary shares for TOA, it is 15 millions. So this one should give you which 0.4. 3 twice. It is recurring. Yeah, so you can have it like that. So after that, we go back to the price earning ratio for each. So we start with the price earning ratio. Price earning ratio of Water Limited. Water Limited. So what are you given as the market price per share for Water Limited? Yeah, so you simply take the 3.20 divided by 0.39. That is what you have calculated as. Then the earning per share. So you take the market price per share, you divide by the earnings per share. That now will be water. We also calculate the price earning ratio for TOA Limited. For TOA Limited. So this one, you take what's divided by what? 0.45 divided by 433. So that now will give you the pre-acquisition, the merger price earning ratio. So that is our Roman letter 1. So we go to the Roman letter 2. The post-merger earning per share, because it is share for share exchange. It is meant to be share for share exchange. It is meant to be the share for share exchange. It is meant to be share for share exchange. So we now go to when it is share for share exchange. So when it is share for share exchange, share for share exchange. Remember to compute when you want to calculate earning per share of the predator. Earning per share of the predator. You simply take the combined earnings. You simply take the combined earnings of the predator and the target of the predator and the target of the predator and the target. Then we divide by number of the ordinary shares. Number of the ordinary shares of the predator. Number of the ordinary shares of the predator. Then we add new shares to be issued. We add new shares to be issued. Add new shares to be issued. So the question has already given you the exchange ratio. The question has already given you the exchange ratio. So when it comes to the exchange ratio. So the question has already given us the exchange ratio. They say that how many shares against how many shares? B will be based on the exchange of the shares between which will be one water. So one share is equivalent to 6 shares of water of Toa Limited. So we know Toa Limited has how many shares? So the target had 15 million. Had 15 million ordinary shares. No, we use the shares. Shares are how many? Yeah, see, it is there's a bar value. So maybe before we proceed beyond that, let us get the number of the ordinary shares for each. We can compute the number of the ordinary shares. So to get the number of the ordinary shares, start with the one for water limited. Start with the one for water limited. So the one for water limited issued ordinary share capital issuance in millions. There were 20 millions. Then you divide by the bar value per share, which is 0.50. So that will give you the number of the ordinary shares for water limited. 40 million. It is 40 millions. Then we also calculate the one for Toa Limited. We also complete the one for Toa Limited. So for Toa Limited, the ones for Toa Limited, it will simply be equal to 15 millions. So we take the 15 millions, we divide by what? 0.1. So that you get the one for Toa Limited. 150 millions. This 150. So you simply divide by the bar value per share. The question had given the ordinary share capital. When you divide by the bar value per share, that's when you get the number of the ordinary shares. So we now compute the number of the shares to be issued. Number of the shares to be issued. Now compute the number of the shares to be issued. So we have said that exchange ratio was 1 share against how many shares? 6 shares. So this is 150 million. So how many new shares they issue? So there are 25 millions. They are 25 million. So after that, now we go back to the question. To get that earning per share. Get that earnings per share. So combined earnings was given. The combined earnings is given. You just add the profit attributable to the ordinary shareholders. There is 7.8 millions. We add. The one for the target is how much? It's 6.5. Then existing number of the ordinary shares of the predator we calculated. Were they 40 millions? Then we also add 25 minutes. Roman letter 1 was pre-acquisition earning per share. This one is post-acquisition earning per share. There will be no effect to each other. The other one is before acquisition. Roman letter 1, pre-merger price earning ratio. In fact, they have no relation because Roman letter 2 are looking for the earning per share. The other one is the price earning ratio. So what happened in Roman letter 1, the companies are different. They have not agreed to come together. So they have no relationship on that. So this one has no effect on what happened on the other part. Unless you substantiate whatever you are asking, because you have simply asked, does this affect our earning per share for Roman letter 1? It has no effect because the other one was before the merger. Now this one is after the merger. That time the companies were separate, but now they have come together. But I don't know what you imply for that. So can you shed more information on whatever you are asking? Does this affect our earning per share for part 1? So I do think they should affect. We have used the same number of the ordinary shares, except this one here. These ones are the same as what we used, except this one, the number of the new shares to be issued. So Roman letter 1, you are only calculating the price earning ratio. How many shares did we use in the Roman letter 1? Without dividing. Yeah, so then you go back and divide by the number of the shares instead of, yeah. The clarification should be in the Roman letter 1, we did not use the number of the shares, but we used the ordinary share capital. So I would like you to go back where we used, we have used 20 million, change it to 40 million. And get that earning per share. Then the other one we had used 15 million, change to 150 million, and see what will be your earning per share. So is it clear at that point? Because the Roman letter 1, we did not use the number of the shares. We omitted that by omission, and we had corrected in the second part. So go back and compute afresh the earning per share, where you had used 20 million, replacing 40 million as the number of the shares. Where you had used 15 million, replace with 150 million, and get the earning per share. Then calculate the price earning ratio afresh for that correction. So is it clear to everyone? Is it clear to everyone? So once you have done that, we come back to our question. So let us get now that earning per share. 0.22. This one is 0.22. But there was some explanation that was given. You want to use that explanation in the Roman letter 3. You want to use that information in the Roman letter 3. So Roman letter 3, they had asked you to explain whether you agree with Duncan Kipchumba when he says that the takeover will bring greater benefit to the ordinary shareholder. Support your answer with a relevant calculation. So he had said that earning per share was increasing by 13%. So I want us to confirm whether it has gone up by 13%. You want to know whether it has gone up by 13%. So let me know the water limited. The water limited earning per share, pre-merger earning per share that you had calculated. After the correction, what was the earning per share for water in the Roman letter 1? Earning per share for water in the Roman what? 0.195. So this one was pre-merger. Remember this after making the corrections. But now after the merger, it is 0.22. You want to confirm whether that one has gone up by 13%, the way you had predicted. So all of you got this figure in the room after making the correction. Earning per share for water. Did you get 0.195 online? After I asked you to make the correction, so they are saying they got that. So we want to get the percentage increase of that item. What is the percentage increase in the earning per share? Percentage change. Percentage change in the earnings per share. Want to know the percentage change in the earnings per share. So we take 0.22 minus 0.195. Also divide by 0.95 because the one which was initially there, it becomes the benchmark. So confirm that earning per share has gone up by what percent? Sorry? So roughly it is 13%. Yeah, so he was correct on his prediction. So we want to comment on that Roman letter 3. Explain whether you agree. So we agree because the earning per share. We agree because the earning per share of the predator has increased by 13%. We agree because the earning per share has increased by 13%. It has gone up by 13%. So we got to the last part of the question. We got the last part of the question. Post acquisition price of a share of Water Limited, assuming the bid is successful. So it is still a repetition of the other question that we did. To remember the post-acquisition market price per share, we just take the price earning ratio multiplied by the earning per share after the merger. So when you want to compute that market price per share after the merger, because the price earning ratio, most of the time it will be remaining constant. Most of the time it will be able to remain constant. So the concept there is still the same. We say that the price earning ratio, is market price per share divided by earning per share. So we make market price per share to be the subject. So it will be given by the price earning ratio. the price earning ratio, then we multiply by earning per share of the aggregate. So the price earning ratio, we assume it has remained constant. So can you confirm for me in the Roman letter 1? What was the price earning ratio for water? After we made the correction, isn't it? It is 16.41. 16.41. After we had made the correction. Yeah. Then multiplied by here, if my computer side was it 0.22. Yeah, so multiplied by 0.22. Multiplied by 0.22. Yeah, so that now should be able to give you what should be the post-acquisition price of the share of water limited if it is successful. Yeah, so I still want us to do one more question, but that one we shall do it in our next class, so that we conclude now on the mergers and the acquisition. So remember to remind me, we do the question for November 2018. November 2018 question 4 part C. We do November 2018 question 4 part C. So once we finish that question, we shall start on the restructuring and reorganization. After that, we shall go to restructuring and reorganization. So currently the questions on the mergers and the acquisition, they are that small. You have seen their format. Yeah, so they are not that wide the way they used to be. But the concept is normally earning per share, price earning ratio, and the market price per share. Those are the three items they will ask. So we stop there for today. When we meet, we shall do that one question and start a new topic, which we have specified will be restructuring and reorganization. So we can stop there for now.